Live from downtown Detroit, home of WDIV and Click on Detroit, Local 4 News at 11 starts now.
We're less than 24 hours away from the first of 2 snow chances in 4 days. We'll show you how much to expect in the huge cool down as we head towards the end of the weekend.
New video showing a driver intentionally crashing through an Oakland County bank.
From our best guess, this was a spur of the moment decision to crash through the bank.
Tonight, witnesses recount the chaotic moments that followed.
We'll begin, though, with the flooding frustrations along the St. Clair River and the work underway to try to get the water levels down. Good to have you with us at 11. St. Clair County Emergency Management says we've got a trifecta causing these floods. Heavy north winds, the cold snap that we've been through, but no ice bridge in Lake Huron yet.
Which means all of that ice has come flooding down the St. Clair River. Our Mara McDonald is in East China Township. Mara, have there been any mandatory evacuations?
Kimberly, no mandatory evacuations, and the hope is that the icebreakers that they've got working out here right now are going to be able to do enough overnight so that it won't be necessary. You've got 3 U.S. and Canadian Coast Guard cutters in the St. Clair River right now trying to move the ice out and get the water running.
We started noticing that the water was rising yesterday about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and we took action immediately. We started making phone calls to our partners at the state and federal level, and by just short of 3 o'clock in the afternoon, we had federal assets, federal Coast Guard icebreakers from both the Canadian side and the U.S. side racing to get here to start breaking ice for us.
They managed to break an ice plug in Algonac last night, and that managed to have the water recede there.
And that water just came up the river, and it's caused much of the flooding you see behind us.
This is Point Drive, and it's a deluged, icy mess. These homes don't have basements. They have crawl spaces, and if the water gets much higher, it's going to be in people's living rooms. Wes Miller says the next 24 hours are critical for getting the river moving and draining this water out of here. But what happens next week when we are in for frigid temperatures which last for days? He says it depends on whether they can flush all this out now and whether the new open flowing water dams up again.
We're just going to have to take a look at it. We'll be able to make those requests should it be required. We have the full support of the State Emergency Management Division, and we have the full support of the Army Corps of Engineers and the U.S. Coast Guard.
So right now, you've got 3 Coast Guard icebreakers out here right now with the expectation that a 4th shows up tomorrow morning. We're in East China Township. I'm Mara McDonald, Local 4.
Okay, Mara. Well, Ben is tracking the conditions along the St. Clair River as well as snow moving in.
In fact, Ben, you've got a little bit of everything in the forecast, but not much of it very good.
No, this is winter cubed as we get towards the end of the forecast especially. But let's start out with what Mara was showing us, is that mess up there in the St. Clair River. And here's the warning. And again, the expiration time is technically Thursday at 10 a.m. It all depends on when they get that ice broken up. But you were talking about the winds. I wanted to show you, even though the direction's different, by Friday morning, we're going to be having gusts of 35 to 40 miles per hour. That is not going to be good news with the temperatures that you're going to be seeing coming up, and that's going to last for a good portion of Friday as well. Now let's start talking with what else is coming as far as the snow is or temperatures first. Outside in Windsor, you can see that we've seen some teens in a lot of the northern suburbs, 24 in Detroit, and those wind chills right now are in the teens. Our next system is getting going out there in the Plain States. That's going to be here in less than 24 hours, and then chasing it is the cold. It starts invading the Great Lakes, and those temperatures go to single digits and even below. So the weather impacts, to say the least, are going to be there for the next 4 days. We'll tell you what all that means in just a few minutes, guys.
Okay, Ben. New video from inside the Level 1 bank in Bloomfield Township shows the moment a would-be bank robber crashed through the storefront. We're also learning more about the man that police arrested at the scene. We bring in Jason Colthorpe there for us tonight. Just strange story, and yet it could have turned out much worse.
A lot worse, Devin, exactly right. And this man was acting very strange, and that's the reason why. Bank employees say he actually first showed up at the drive-thru yesterday asking to open an account. When he was informed that he couldn't do that, he had to actually come inside to open an account. He left, came back a short while later, kind of wandering with his vehicle. He came over the curb here, not really with a direct plan, and the next thing you know, right into the front of the bank. Video from inside and outside the Level 1 bank Tuesday shows the silver SUV aimless for a moment, and then
heard a pretty large crash, crashing sound, followed by a lot of breaking glass.
It was so loud, several people thought they'd heard gunshots.
Heard them screaming inside the bank, and just hearing that, I was curious what the heck just happened.
Cooper Collier, who was working next door, described the scene.
It was just a lot of confusion. Nobody really knew exactly what was going on, why it happened.
It was confusing for Bloomfield Township Police as well at first.
He made it about 3 to 5 feet inside the bank, and then he immediately started to back out. At no time did he ever get out of his car, or did he ever demand any money to the bank employees.
They were on scene almost immediately. They blocked the suspect, who took about 50 steps toward the gas station and then laid down on the ground. The video seems to confirm what police would later learn during questioning. This was a spur-of-the-moment decision by the suspect.
26 years I've been here in Bloomfield, this is the first time we ever had a vehicle crash through the front entrance of a bank in an attempt to rob it.
But you might be wondering, how did they know he was robbing the bank if he never got out and demanded money? Well, during the interrogation, he absolutely offered it up to police. Now, the sister of the suspect has emailed me, and she says her brother suffers from mental issues. He fell off the grid 2 days ago. They don't know where he went, but she says he's been wearing protective gear like what he was wearing when he was arrested, a bulletproof vest and a plate under his hat for months, under the impression that someone was out to get him. She says he's not a criminal and he would never rob a bank. Police say he was acting very strangely during their interrogation. We're in Bloomfield Township. Jason Colthorpe, Local 4.
Okay, Jason. Drivers heading downtown tomorrow morning will want to give themselves a little extra time. That's because right now a stretch of I-75 is closed after a truck hit an overpass, damaging it. Repairs are underway, but southbound lanes will remain shut down at 7 Mile to McNichols for several more hours. MDOT is hoping to have those lanes reopen sometime tomorrow morning, but it likely won't happen in time for the morning rush hour.
The United States has now surpassed 450,000 deaths from COVID-19.
The latest numbers from the state include 1,383 new cases in the past 24 hours, along with 32 more lives lost to the virus. To stop another surge in cases, Dr. Anthony Fauci is asking all Americans to avoid hosting house parties for this Sunday's Super Bowl.
Super Bowl is a big deal in the United States. Enjoy the game, watch it on television, but do it with the immediate members of your family, the people in your household. As much fun as it is to get together in a big Super Bowl party, now is not the time to do that.
Dr. Fauci says about 70 to 85% of all Americans need to be fully vaccinated for a return to normal. Right now, fewer than 2% of Americans have received both doses of a vaccine.
A child killed in a violent two-car crash in Taylor has been identified now as a 12-year-old Allen Park girl. Phoebe Elliott was a passenger in her aunt's car when another driver allegedly ran a red light at North Line and Telegraph. This was just after midnight, T-boning her aunt's car. Phoebe was rushed to the hospital, but that's where she was pronounced dead. Tonight we're learning she was an 8th grade student at Allen Park Middle School. District says she was loved by the staff and her fellow students. Her aunt was injured in the crash and remains hospitalized. The at-fault driver, police say, was taken into custody, but investigators are still trying to determine if alcohol or drugs were a factor in the crash.
Dearborn police asking for your help finding who pulled the trigger in a shooting at a school gym. This is who police are looking for. Shooting happened Monday night at the Muslim American Youth Academy on Ford Road. Sources tell us shots were fired after an argument over the use of the school's basketball courts. One person was shot. Police say that person is in serious condition.
Michigan's Treasury Department will start processing tax returns next Friday. That's February 12th. That's the same day the IRS starts processing federal returns. State pushed back its processing date to match the IRS. Of course, the deadline to submit taxes is the familiar April 15th.
Still ahead, a Michigan native is at the center of a life-saving rescue.
She wondered how we getting out. So I just took her, put her in the back seat, and kind of pushed her through that window.
After he saved the life of his passenger, he was trapped in a truck submerged in freezing water. How did he make it out alive?
And major tension in Washington over Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene and her conspiracy theory views. What Democrats are planning tomorrow to limit her role in Congress.
But first, a Detroit man convicted of murder set to be released after more than 25 years in prison. What the prosecutors discovered in his case that led to that decision when we come back.